Hey, sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of EBC Sports International. I'm your host for this week, Zarita Sese, coming to you from Toronto, Canada. Thanks for joining us. We have another action-packed episode for you, but of course, before we dive into our main topics and our discussion, I can't forget to introduce to you our panelists. So from Washington, D.C., we have Ken Cruz.
Yo. Baseball going into postseason, basketball coming back, Lakers playing on Sunday, and, Rams 3-0. LA is where it's at. Unfortunately, I'm in DC. But it's great to be an LA fan right now.
Yep, for sure. Best time of the year, in my opinion, definitely. From Alexandria, Virginia, we have EJ Gonzalez.
What's up, everyone? What's up, Zarita? Great to see you in the hot seat once again. And, I'm with Ken over here in this part of the world. It's not a great time to be a Washington fan, but...
Is it ever, though, EJ?
The weather's nice right now. It's fantastic. I played 9 holes today, so I was able to sneak that in.
You have something to look forward to, for sure. And last but not least, from Quezon City, Philippines, we have Ben Bernaldez.
What's up, Zarita? What's up, guys? And hello to our viewers here in the Philippines and all over the world. It's going to be an exciting episode for today.
For sure. With some big news that we're definitely going to break down later on. So again, to the panelists, thank you for joining me this week. And of course, like we always say, as much as we seem passionate about our opinions, that's all they are. They're opinions from sports fans. So let's just leave it at that. So before we begin our discussion, we have a few updates to share with you from all over the sports world. And first, we have an update from EJ about NBA's vaccination status.
Thanks, Rita. So yesterday, there were sources who spoke on the vaccination rates amongst players in the NBA, and ESPN and the Associated Press mentioned that the figure has reached the 95% mark. With around 500 players in the league, on average, that would mean 1 out of every 20 players is unvaccinated. Now, the league released a tentative protocol for health and safety earlier this week, where those unvaccinated players have many more hoops to jump through compared to those who are vaccinated. Now, that includes the restriction of them eating in the same room as teammates or staff, locker rooms that are further away or separated from vaccinated players, mandatory mask policies, and they must remain 6 feet away from all others in team meetings. They also must get tested way more often and are restricted to remain at home during home games or at the hotel during away games. Now, some players who have publicly spoken on being unvaccinated include Andrew Wiggins and Bradley Beal. And it is also assumed that Kyrie Irving is also on the same boat. There are local laws in San Francisco and in New York where players in those teams must be vaccinated in order for them to play at home games, which is equivalent to 50% of the regular season. So for those players on the Warriors, the Knicks, or the Nets, the players who miss games due to vaccination status, they will not be getting paid for those games that they missed. Now, so these set of circumstances in this case would affect Kyrie Irving if he is in fact unvaccinated, and Wiggins, but not Bradley Beal, since there is no vaccination mandate in Washington as of right now. Back to you, Zarita.
Thanks, EJ. And that's some good news for those who are pro-vaccination, I guess. And of course, next we have a story coming out of Los Angeles about the Rose Bowl half marathon and 5K. Here's Alan and Eva with the story.
What gets you moving? For thousands of people in Pasadena, California, the answer to that is their feet.
Event organizer, the McCourt Foundation, and sponsor ASICS help first-time and avid runners get back outdoors in pursuit of health, personal best times, and to support a worthwhile cause.
Well, the McCourt Foundation is a health organization dedicated to building a healthier world. We operate events in Boston and in Southern California to provide a healthy and active lifestyle, which is even more important now than ever during the pandemic. For today's Rose Bowl half marathon and 5K, we have almost 6,000 people signed up for this event. And so while that's down a little bit compared to previous years, it's still a lot more than we had for most weekends in 2020. To be able to bring live events back, outdoor events back, where there's plenty of room for people to be able to social distance and be healthy, be active, raise money for charity. This is what Southern California is all about. This community celebration of fitness, of health, of wellness, and we're excited to celebrate today.
Today, Essex is a partner of this race, so I'm very happy that Essex is being a partner of this race. Essex also is a partner of LA Marathon in November, so I look forward all the runners will come back to the race. So I can't wait to see lots of smile from runners in November. So running is not good only for the health, but also we are expecting people to have like sound mind, sound body through this running, through running. So that's why we are supporting this kind of event and runners.
With finishing times of 1 hour 11 minutes and 1 hour 12 minutes respectively, the first and second place overall half marathon winners shared their thoughts about the day's race.
Oh yeah, finishing in this Rose Bowl means a lot, especially as a Bruin alumni. It's a great race, great fans out there, great city. It's a beautiful city running around there. The runners are great. They're all cheering for you. And definitely I want to thank everyone who organized this event, all the volunteers. Without them, we wouldn't be here, so definitely thanking everyone. Right when we got here, there's a lot of people getting excited about the race, a lot of people cheering even before this started. And then standing at the start line, there's people around you. It's like, all right, it's been a year and a half now. It's time. We're back running out here, and yeah, just in the beginning, just wanted to control the adrenaline. A lot of fast people out there, so just wanted to make sure that I get to compete with them, get to run with them, have fun with them, and at the finish line, it was great. Yeah.
All the people around were cheering a lot, and even the people racing from the back applaud when they crossed me. So it was really appreciable. You don't need to run a marathon if you don't want to just find pleasure in what you do. Me, I race because I love running, and even during COVID, I was training because I love training. I love racing too, but you need to find something you love. And if you feel confident, try a 5K, then a 10K, and after you can try a marathon, but try something doable.
And what could be more doable than forming a running group with friends and family?
The excitement of being with my sisters. We're actually getting really excited about, we're on track of keeping our weight down and eating healthy, starting healthier eating habits. So that's the reason that we wanted to come together as a family, as a team, and we're really excited to be here. So we actually fast walk, and the first mile was really hard for me, but once we got together and we gave each other support, it became easier as we started getting closer, just hearing the music and hearing the excitement and everyone cheering for each other. It really has been a moment that we're excited to be here.
I run, just for physical fitness, for health. It makes me feel really good. I start my morning out with running. So for me, it's just, I'm not trying to, be the best runner in the world or compete with Coach E. It's just something that it kind of makes me feel good, and it builds positive self-esteem. I'm 41 years old, and I would like to keep running, until I'm 80 if I can.
So what moves you? If the answer is your feet, well, that's a good place to start.
But everyone who finishes did so for health, for charity, and for the sense of community. So what moves runners? The answer is
their hearts. In Pasadena, California, Eva and Allen, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thanks, Eva and Alan. So we're actually going to take a quick break before we hear from Ben about some big news coming out of the Philippines and, of course, so much more. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, and thanks for sticking with us. So for our last update, we have Ben and an update from about one of the greatest boxers. Ben, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Zarita. Well, Manny Pacquiao, the only 8-division champion in boxing history, has officially called it a career in boxing after announcing his retirement from the sport. In a 14-minute video, the 42-year-old Pacquiao said goodbye boxing, signaling an end to his illustrious career that lasted for 26 years. Currently ranked number 6 by ESPN at 147 pounds, Pacquiao was favored to beat Ugas, but clearly wasn't the same fighter who shot to superstardom in the previous years. The blistering speed was gone, as were the awkward angles Pacquiao used to deliver his impactful shots that scored so many brutal knockouts were not seen on his last fight. But for all the violence he displayed in the ring, Pacquiao was always gentle and caring outside it. With a smile on his face at almost all of the times, and a great philanthropist here in the Philippines, where he remains as an icon. Pacquiao's incredible resume includes victories over Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, Marquez, Miguel Cotto, Antonio Margarito, Ricky Hatton, Timothy Bradley, and most recently Keith Thurman. And the latest win made Pacquiao the oldest welterweight champion of all time at nearly 41 years old, the last great performance from one of the best to ever lace up the gloves. Now, Pacquiao was twice named Fighter of the Year by Boxing Writers Association of America, and his fourth bout with Marquez was the 2012 Fight of the Year. Pacquiao was the rare athlete to transcend boxing, making rounds on the talk show circuit during the height of his career, and several of his bouts generated more than 1 million pay-per-views buy. Pacquiao earned hundreds of millions in dollars during his career and defeated 5 Hall of Famers. His union with the Hall of Fame trainee Freddie Roach, a partnership fostered at the Wild Card gym, is one of the most iconic fighter training pairings of all time. Now, Pacquiao is retiring with an impressive record of 62 wins, 39 by knockouts, and 8 losses, and 2 draws, and the historic distinction of being the first and so far the only boxer who has won at least one world title in 8 different divisions, from flyweight to junior middleweight. That's it.
Thanks, Ben. So let's dive right into our discussion, and let's break down this news. So EJ, let's start with you. I know a couple of shows ago we were talking about, oh no, Manny, you can't do it for selfish reasons, of course. So what were your initial thoughts when you heard about it? You know, saw the video circulating on social media. Were you surprised at all?
It wasn't a surprise at all. We could see that Manny wasn't the same during that last fight against Yordanis Ugas. And he said a lot during his post-fight speech that kind of previewed the announcement of his retirement, right? Like, he was speaking in past tense, talking about how much boxing has meant to him and his journey over the numerous decades. You know, at one point he even said, you might not see Manny Pacquiao fight again in the ring. And he spoke about his contributions through boxing and how it brought honor to the Filipino people. So it was really like portrayed that, okay, this really might be the end of us seeing Manny Pacquiao. And, you know, when we listen to the boxing analysts, a lot of them were already forewarning that, you know, the end of Manny's career, it was right there. So no, it wasn't a surprise, but nevertheless, it still hurts to accept the fact that we won't be seeing Manny in the ring anymore. But, you know, his video that he posted on YouTube, the one where it's such a great tribute, where he took the time to pretty much name every family and anyone he worked with to achieve his success in his career, which was literally a 10-minute long list, but it was awesome of him to acknowledge them, and now their names will forever be in that video and in history. So yeah, it sucks we won't be seeing him, but awesome tribute by Pacquiao, and what a way to go out. Even though it was a loss to Ugas, a lot of us don't really count it anyway. He's just meant so much to the Filipino people, and what he's done with boxing is unmatched.
No, definitely, for sure. So Ken, what is it about Manny that made him such an iconic boxer? And you know what, let's go even further. Like Ben was saying in his story, a philanthropist, a human being. Why was he such a household name?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, right? I mean, the guy is just an absolute animal when it came to his craft. I mean, like, to come from nothing to rise to literally the top of the sport, and not just, you know, for himself, but for his country. I think that really spoke to a lot of people, spoke to the, you know, the whole underdog story where, you know, whether he liked it or not, he had parallels with Floyd Mayweather, right? Where, you know, they kind of were big at the same time. And I think where he like really shines versus Mayweather is he took on any fight in front of him, right? And I think like even willing to take the loss. And I think that the fact that he was willing to fight just anyone and everyone, and he says this every time, he's like, it's for the fans, right? And I think that really resonated with not even just boxing purists, but just, you know, the lay fan, right? I mean, these events were, these boxing fights of Pacquiao, from, you know, from the beginning to even this last one, were always an event. Not even just for like Filipino households, but for just like many households. You know, the screaming moms, you know, the fainting aunts, right? I mean, it's just like it was a big deal. Like it brought together a lot of people. And back to the whole Mayweather point, you know, like yes, Mayweather's undefeated. Yes, I mean, like he worked and was able to like secure his own money, and you can't fault a man for that. But, you know, when it comes to, you know, as a fan, as fans watching the game, watching the fights, and, you know, you just have to appreciate someone that's willing and ready to fight anyone. And, you know, his training is unmatched, right? I mean, the guy just does extreme cardio. Yeah, I know he you know, inherited, was born with amazing calves. But you know that and you know, just like a really like strong face to be able to withstand like a bunch of punches, but like that didn't set him up for you know, having crazy cardio, just having crazy looping, you know, footwork, you know, getting angles, being able to take a punch. I mean, and then, you know, just being extremely fast. I mean, he is a, you know, like a boxer's boxer, right? I mean, he's a guy that you love to watch, and just extremely entertaining. And something that I think that like a lot of people don't understand is like the last maybe, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years, he like boxing was part-time for him. You know, like he's a politician, number one, singer, actor, basketball player, coach, you know, like businessman, investor. Right. You know, obviously a father, right? I mean, like he really, you know, prioritized his family, and I think this is something that you know, you really have to take into consideration, is that he was still winning despite boxing being kind of just a side thing for him, which is crazy. Imagine if he was like every other boxer that put boxing, you know, in the front of their lives, and you know, their number one priority. He probably could still be fighting for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And the fact that he was taking like 1, 2 years in between, that's not great for any boxer in the later ages. So I think the fact that he still had success and was still a draw, and as Ben said, I think he was number 5 or 6 still in pound for pound overall. Even knowing all of that is insane. Like even with it being part-time, even after this loss, he could have still fought maybe 2, 3, 4 fights where he's still a big draw. I mean, and I think that's just goes to show, just one, how legendary his career is, and two, how and this is something that I think a lot of people are appreciating about like fellow athletes like Tom Brady, LeBron James, right? Where longevity is in itself a skill, and Pacquiao had that, and it's a very sad time for any Pacquiao fan. But I mean, you also have to be relieved that he went out the way that he wanted to go out.
No, for sure. And kind of to close off all of this, Ben, what do you think Manny means to the country of Philippines, but also just Filipinos all over the world? This guy's name is known all over the world. So what do you think he's done for the country?
Well, a lot, Zurita. He put the Philippines in the world map. And, whenever foreign country say Philippines, they would automatically say Manny Pacquiao. And that's how Pacquiao made an impact, not only in sports as well, but in general. He put the Philippines in the world map. And there's the reason why Pacquiao remains somewhat like a demigod here in the Philippines. Not only did he overcome the odds to achieve stardom, Pacquiao found a way to routinely do what had never been done before inside a boxing ring. Even an era of watered-down titles in which fighter like Adrian Bronner can claim to be 4-division champion, Pacquiao's record of 8 titles in as many weight classes might not ever be equaled. And who else? He turned pro at an age of 16 years old at 106 pounds, only to win world title as high as 154. No one does that. And who else would just and probably carry with him his power and explosion despite so drastically moving up in weight classes, the amount of Hall of Fame fighters he defeated, and not only that, remarkably done something really big in his career, and he never backed down from all of the challenges that he faced. And nothing in the modern era has ever equaled, the brilliance of Pacquiao that inspired so many Filipinos. And also remember the 2008 in his career. In 11 span in that year, he fought 3 strong fighters: Ricky Hatton, Miguel Cotto, and then Oscar De La Hoya. All he stopped by a knockout. And no one can top that. And the achievements that we saw in 2008 had a comparison to great Henry Armstrong, who once ruled boxing as an undisputed champion of 3 divisions simultaneously. But Pacquiao, an 8-division world title, no one can top that. I think after his career, I would want him to continue his philanthropist work, helping his fellow countrymen, those poor people, and especially helping the Philippine sport itself. He can be the godfather of Philippine sports, and we all know that he's also running for a higher position. And not to discredit his career in the politics, but I would really want him to do what he wants and help people, especially the poor people here in the Philippines. And we want him to be as good as he is, helping people, and he made us really proud. The Philippines, in every fight that he did, no crime at all, and that's what he brought to us. And not only the excitement, entertainment, but he really made the Philippines proud.
No, for sure. And I think there's no doubt Manny has a very special place in all of our hearts. And we are very, very thankful for what he's been able to do for the Philippines. And I think he's done it with that, that Filipino character of always work hard, but stay humble. So I think that's something that we can all definitely relate to. So we're actually going to take a quick break, and we're going to move into some NBA news and some previews. So we'll be right back.
Hinahangaan at inspirasyon ng marami ang mga artista at TV hosts dahil sa kanilang tagumpay sa telebisyon at pelikula. Many Filipino TV and movie personalities, through their passion for acting and performing, have made it big in our TV screens. Ngunit katulad ng mga karaniwang tao, walang nagawa ang kanilang kinang at kasikatan sa coronavirus crisis. In a flash, TV productions were suspended, leaving so many without work. Pero ang mga bida natin sa telebisyon, bumida rin sa kanilang mga bagong propesyon. In this episode, we will see how the pandemic drove celebrities to become entrepreneurs. Today, we'll have the journey of our guest, Miss Mariel Padilla, from TV hosting to online selling.
Just be creative. Ang daming pwedeng gawin. For me ngayon na is madali magsimula because laging nagkahanap ng bago. Something na pwede nilang itry.
All these in this episode of Open for Business.
Welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm your host, Zurita Sese. So moving right into some NBA news. So for the 2021-2022 season, tip-off is just over 2 weeks away and preseason actually starts next week. But before we talk about anything else or any other team, of course, we're going to talk about the ongoing elephant in the NBA room, the ongoing saga of Ben Simmons. So Ben Simmons has made the decision not to report to training camp, despite knowing that he would lose out on $8.5 million of his contract while he waits for the franchise to move him. Of course, to add fuel to the fire, his teammate Joel Embiid has commented on the situation, calling it all weird, a disappointment, and borderline disrespectful. So Embiid also said that the decisions like letting Jimmy Butler walk in 2019 was made to appease Simmons, implying that the organization have been trying to build around him. So I know we pretty much talk about this guy almost every single week, but EJ, what are your thoughts on Simmons skipping out on $8.5 million and what message is he trying to send?
Yeah, this just reminds me a lot of what happened last year with James Harden. The only difference is that James Harden was a league MVP. He led the league in scoring 3 straight times at one point, and at that time last year was a player who has had 12 years of experience in the NBA, right? Before, breaking up with the Rockets or however you want to phrase it. But Ben Simmons entering his 5th year, and remember, the guy sat out basically the entire first year. So 4 years of NBA experience. I don't think he's proven enough to make him highly sought out by other teams. People's lasting impression of Simmons right now is his performance last season in the playoffs when he didn't want to shoot the ball because of his awful free throw shooting or fear of going to the line. I mean, the guy shoots 34% from the free throw line, which is crazy. Less than career free throw percentages of Shaq and Dennis Rodman, who are both notoriously bad and historically known for bad free throw shooting. So, I mean, right now, I feel like Ben Simmons is hurting his chances of not only getting paid, but his stock value around the league. This message he's sending is that he don't care about money. He don't care about how much other teams feel about his value. He just wants to get out of Philly. And as you reported, it sounds a lot like Joel Embiid wants him out of there too.
No, for sure. So just really quickly, Ken, going to you about the franchise side or the Embiid side. With his comments, what message is Embiid then trying to send to his current teammate, Ben Simmons?
Nothing out of pocket. I mean, the guy is just, he's rolling with the punches, right? I mean, how would you feel if your all-star teammate who's supposed to be a running man just ghosts you and doesn't show up? I mean, that makes, I would feel hurt. And Embiid has always been extremely open with his opinions, sometimes for not further his best interest. But in this case, he has covered for his teammate other than obviously the end of the season at, those post-game comments. I mean, the guy was overcome with emotion. I get it. I mean, you just lost, right? I mean, when you weren't supposed to lose like that. But I mean, since then, he's covered for his teammate. He's tried to make amends. He tried to fly out to LA. That didn't happen, and because Ben didn't want it. And what can you do? The season, as I mentioned earlier, preseason starts in 2 days. It's something has to happen because the fact is that Embiid, as he mentioned, wasn't happy that Ben pretty much pushed out Jimmy Buckets, who was as you saw in the Miami Heat finals, he could really push a team above what they're fighting for. And now he's stuck with this guy who doesn't even want to show up and is willing to drop $8 million. I don't get it, but it is in no way, shape, or form Embiid's fault. He is just saying what needs to be said.
No, for sure. And lastly, Ben, did the franchise create this problem for themselves by not dealing him sooner, right when offseason started, or did they create this problem for themselves?
I think both ways. I think Ben Simmons has made a big problem for his career. Of course, the 76ers, as the management, has the right to discipline Simmons in every way that they can. And this is, if the player doesn't want to play with your team, just go ahead and trade him. Ben Simmons' camp is willing to burn those millions of dollars not to play. Not just $8.25 million, and he's going to incur fines. And they're willing to burn those millions. And if he is not traded from other teams, I guess the 76ers will suffer from this as well. And also will really make them out of focus in the coming NBA season. Just we'll dealt with Simmons, just trade him off and probably get a better player. I'm glad that Jimmy Butler left the 76ers and went to the Miami Heat and went to the finals. And with the comments made by Embiid that Ben Simmons, the 76ers plays revolve around Ben Simmons. I don't think that's the case. When Embiid said that, I don't know what he's saying, but it's still open for interpretation. And it's going to be hard for the management to really dealt with Ben Simmons with this statement, but I don't think so. If it's easy for a management to just trade off a superstar player if Ben Simmons is really a superstar, but I don't think so. So it's easy for the management to just trade him off and get a better player that could really benefit and contribute for the team.
Yeah. Despite what's been seen of Ben Simmons, I think he still has value. And there's going to be a team out there that's going to be willing to trade big pieces, but they're just not pulling the trigger. And who knows why. But anyways, moving on to some other teams that actually make a little bit more sense. We're going to do a little preview for the upcoming season. So really quickly, guys, EJ, I'm going to go to you. Brooklyn Nets, who are literally just inches away from Eastern Conference Finals. Where do you see them finishing in the East? Who's their biggest threat and what's their final record? Oh, you're
sorry.
muted, EJ.
Yeah, my fault. Literally a big toe away from getting to the finals. But it's crazy to think that the big three didn't really play together. And it might be the same case this year. Kyrie Irving being unvaccinated eliminates him from 50% of this season. Yeah. So, but they've proven that they could win with just the two. And if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm trying to find a way for Kyrie to get out of there. I say, hey, we talked about this last week. Ken brought it up, a three-way trade, making Ben Simmons, Kyrie, maybe Dame, all involved to find their ways out of those teams. I think that would be great. But to answer your question, where do I see them finishing in the East? I would say definitely top three. I think they finished second last year, so top three. And the biggest threat, obviously, Giannis and the champions of the Milwaukee Bucks are going to be their biggest threat. I don't think the 76ers are going to be a threat, especially with this Ben Simmons situation. But with that, if Kyrie does miss 50% of the games, that's why I think they'll bump down a little bit, maybe to the third spot. I still see them winning high 50s, over 50 games in the season, though. So, that's where I see the Brooklyn Nets. It all depends on what happens with Kyrie.
EJ, you're right and wrong at the same time. Their biggest threat is not the Bucks. Their biggest threat is Kyrie Irving. Sorry, I mean, if you go against the Bucks without your Kyrie Irving in Milwaukee, that's asking for a loss. And then if they even get to the finals, going against the Lakers without Kyrie in LA, that's asking for a loss. I mean, you're literally
get rid of him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what Shaq's trying to say, right? I mean, like you're just, this is so self-inflicted and like selfish for these guys, especially the ones. I mean, like the whole COVID thing aside. I mean, that this is, the rules are the rules, right? And if you're not going to follow the rules, and you're getting paid this much, it's just like, all right, well, what can you expect from your team? I would be so angry if I'm KD or Harden, because this is just, like, literally, this is it. Like,
it's a tough situation though, being in New York, because they're 3 out of the 30 teams that have that mandate of being vaccinated, right?
Yeah, like, but the thing is, like, it's only going to get more, right? It's not going to be less. Like, there can be more cities lining up. DC can get that way. I mean, like, it's only going to be, the mandates are only going to increase, not decrease. I feel, right?
Exactly.
For vaccination, this is a fact, and I feel like for guys just like dragging their feet, like, this is just putting unneeded stress on their teams.
Yeah, 100% agree.
And then speaking of the Lakers, Ken, I'm going to jump to you with the changes in the Lakers lineup and, of course, a healthy Clippers lineup. Who do you see coming out with a better record, and where in the West do you see these teams finishing?
Not healthy Clippers lineup. Kawhi is still indefinitely.
Is he ever healthy? I think he entered the league.
But, I mean, like, he had the ACL surgery in the offseason, right? I mean, Ty Lue just talked about it yesterday, where he's not going to camp, and he still doesn't know when Kawhi Leonard is going to return, if at all, this season. And that's literally, if you don't have Kawhi Leonard on your team, and this specific team, Paul George is not going to get you anywhere. Sorry, like, PG is great. I like his game. The off-season, like the off-court stuff, not so much. But I mean, like, his game is true. This team is legit, but without Kawhi Leonard, like, this is you're going nowhere. I mean, I feel like they're going to be 8th ranked in the playoffs if to get to the plus. If they make the playoffs, Western Conference is always crazy. And I mean, like, speaking of Western Conference, to answer your other question, where the Lakers going to be, it really depends on how much health the Lakers have, right? I mean, this is the oldest team in the league by far, and that's okay. They got some young guys, THT, that can weather them through the regular season, and so I think, like, as far like to specifically answer your question, I feel like they're going to be probably 4th or 5th. It's going to be like Jazz are probably going to run it back first. You're going to have probably the Warriors up there with Clay back. And then the Mavericks, I think, and then maybe the Lakers, and then Lakers and Suns probably first round matchup again in the playoffs. Yeah. Well, I feel like they're going to be
downplaying Lakers.
Well, you just got to be realistic, right?
Wait, say that again, Ken.
I know, that's crazy.
It doesn't sound Ken, huh?
LeBron has been coasting throughout the regular season, and this is something that he's famous for. He's notorious for. I get it, and it makes sense. At this late in your career, you can't go for the regular season. Look what happened to the Utah Jazz last year, right? They went for it. They went for that record. They went for the #1 spot. Where did that land them? Right. Nowhere. So at the end of the day, you want preservation, especially the older your lineup, you have to. Like, this is a really old lineup, guys. It's an old lineup plus an Anthony Davis that can always get hurt. Like, I mean, like, in the course of his 10-year career, I mean, this is his 10th year. He's had at least 50 injuries. I mean, like, it's just facts, right? I mean, like, 5 injuries a year. And so I feel like you have to rest your guys. And if the thing is, if the Lakers are healthy into the playoffs, coming into the playoffs,
you don't want to
banner number 18. Banner number 18. Here we go.
Yeah.
Well, it's always fun to make these predictions, so we'll just have to wait and see how it all pans out. So moving on to some NFL talk. We're now entering week 4 of the NFL season. So in week 3, we saw the good, the bad, and the ugly for some teams. Starting with the bad, we saw rookie Justin Fields make his first career start with the Chicago Bears, and it did not go exactly as planned. Field went 6 for 20, only for only 68 yards and was sacked 9 times. So, EJ, what were your initial thoughts for this performance? And how does a rookie like Fields bounce back from this?
I mean, I don't think the blame is on Justin Fields at all. It's on Matt Nagy. I mean, 9 sacks? Come on, the blame isn't on Justin Fields. It's on the O-line. If a quarterback gets sacked that many times, the frustration should be on Justin Fields on that in regards to the offensive line not being able to protect him. So I feel like he was put in a situation to fail, especially against Cleveland Brown and Myles Garrett on the other side of the ball. I mean, that's just scary to think about. And as a rookie, now does he bounce back against the Lions? I think that's definitely a better situation. However, the Lions, although currently 0-3, they put up a good fight against the Ravens last week, and they put up a fight against the Niners in week 1. But if Matt Nagy and the O-line doesn't get it together, then Justin Fields doesn't have a shot at performing well. And he did injure his thumb last week against the Browns, so that's also up in the air for him.
No, for sure. And then moving on to the good, Ken, who had the more noteworthy performance for week 3? Aaron Rodgers stealing the game from the 49ers with 37 seconds left, or Justin Tucker of the Ravens setting the NFL record for longest field goal at 66 yards, which I may add is only 2 yards short of what Justin Fields did.
I mean, Tucker Doinker was hilarious to see, right? It's just the best way for the Lions to lose. That's just Lions lining. But I mean, like, Rodgers is just he's continuing to solidify his legacy. It's awesome. I mean, there were 37 seconds, but anyone who's ever watched Aaron Rodgers play knew that was too much time. It's like watching Kobe, Michael Jordan, in the last 2 seconds. It's like, oh, this is too much time. I mean, too much time for a legend. And so, two throws to Devontae Adams. That was more than enough time to get a field goal to win the game. I mean, it was just extremely impressive. And I have to say, much needed, because anyone that can help the Rams continue to rise up the NFC West is great in my book.
For sure. So we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to continue our NFL talk and looking forward to week 4 and a special homecoming. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Hindi ka na mauulit sa latest at what's trending kada umaga.
Welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm your host, Zarita. Thanks for sticking with us. So continuing on with some NFL talk and looking forward to the return of one of the, if not the greatest of all time, to his former team, the New England Patriots. Tom Brady will play at Gillette Stadium for the first time since joining the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Ben, what kind of reception do you think Brady will get? Are we going to hear some booing? What do you think? And who wins? And what's the final score?
Well, Tom Brady is downplaying this matchup. He said it's just another regular game. The greatest quarterback and player in NFL history will square off with the greatest coach in NFL history for the first time after 2 decades of building their legacies and hoarding Lombardi trophies in unison. And Tom Brady going back to Foxborough to play against the Patriots. And first of all, this is going to be a terrible matchup for the New England, which won't be able to run and take pressure off Mac Jones or exploit Tampa Bay's secondary issues either. And, with this matchup, Bill Belichick can take away one target from the GOAT, but Brady's got plenty of arsenal in his pocket, with other players as well, like expatriates Rob Gronkowski and Antonio Brown, who's really eager to get back at their former team. And it's for many fans, it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big issue for them. It's going to be an exciting game, but this is an easy win for the Bucs. 38-10 is my prediction, and we'll see if Patriots can be able to make a miracle and defeat the Bucs in this game.
Imagine they spoil his homecoming just with that, with a win over them. So really quickly,
Right.
EJ, what's your prediction on the score? Just the score.
No, I think 38-10 is a great score, Ben. Maybe 38-9.
Just for some variety. And Ken, what about you? What do you think
Right.
the final score will be?
Oh, let's go all in. 27-0.
For what?
Skunk.
27-0.
Or for Patriots.
Yeah, he's not going to let Belichick score. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Imagine. Okay. We'll see. Remember that, guys. We'll come back to this next week for sure. So for our last topic, we're actually going to quickly dive into some MLB playoff news. So looking at the National League, their wild card race pretty much is locked in with the Dodgers and the Cardinals meeting each other. However, looking to the American League, there are 4 teams vying for the opportunity to play in that wild card game just to continue on in the playoffs. So Ken, I'm going to go to you for this one. Who do you see making it to a wild card game between the Yankees, the Mariners, Boston, and of course, my Toronto Blue Jays?
Before I even get into that, can I just say how frustrated I am with these rules? The fact that the Dodgers can be a 106 win team and still be a wild card team, facing a team that's like, you know, gonna be probably a 90 win team in the Cardinals is absolutely disgusting to me. It just for whoever loses, they're out. I mean, it's just so.
And you're
stressful.
playing 162 games, and you're still going to have this wild card thing. Anyways, continue.
It is absolutely just not fair. I mean, I get it. Like the Giants are having a historical season too, but it's just like, why do both of these teams like? Why can't we? Why can't you just go by the records? It's just like this whole like division conference, whatever thing that they have going on is just it's not great for the stronger divisions, and so that's a whole separate thing. But to answer your wild card question, it's just, I mean, like I feel like the Yankees are going to be locked in, right? And then right now, I believe Boston and surprisingly Seattle, which Mike, you got to be watching your guys. I believe they're expecting like 40,000 Mariners. I don't know where they're going to find 40,000 Mariners fans to watch the game, to watch the last series this weekend in Seattle to support the team. Like Seattle is a great sports city, it really is. And, if there's a time to rally for your city, this is it. I'm sorry, but Blue Jays are what? You guys are 2-3 games
We're
behind.
right there, okay? No, we are 1 game behind. That's why. It's a close race. And we're playing the Orioles.
Boston and Seattle have to, have to lose in order for Toronto to sneak in there. It has to be like a catastrophic, meltdown from both those teams, which I can see potentially happening in Seattle, but not Boston. Boston is just, Boston is a tried and true, championship franchise, and I feel like that's not going to happen. But if it were to me to choose, I would go Yankees just because they're already almost locked in, and let's go Seattle. Come on, Mariners. 40,000 fans. Yeah, 40,001. I'm in there.
Oh man. It's fun. It's a good time to be a baseball fan right now, but like you said, it's very frustrating. So actually, we're going to move on into our question of the show. So sticking with the big news that we talked about at the top of the show with Manny Pacquiao's retirement, I want to know the panel's favorite moment, fight, whatever it was of his career, whether it was in the ring or on, the many things that he does. So for me, I'm going to say any post-fight interview that Manny did was always good because you just never know what he's going to say. He was unapologetically himself. So I'm going to leave it at that. Ben, what's your favorite moment of Pacquiao's career?
Well, aside from the 2008 fight that he did, 3 consecutive in a year with all 3 knockouts, I would say my number one would be his knockout over Ricky Hatton. That was voted also as a knockout of the year fight. You see the build-up leading to the fight. There's so much action, so much drama. And then in just 2 rounds, Pacquiao KO'd Ricky the Hitman Hatton, and he retired from his boxing career. And that's an awesome finish in that bout.
Imagine you're Manny and you can say you did that to a boxer. Ken, what about you? What's your favorite moment?
Well, I don't get starstruck much, but I was blessed to be able to cover the Pacquiao Vargas fight in 2016. So I was able to interview him during his media day leading up to the fight. And, he saw that I was Filipino and asked if I was going to do the questions in Tagalog. And I said, yep. And that was probably the hardest interview I've ever done. One, because it's an interview with my hero. And two, my Tagalog is mediocre.
Can we hear you ask the question?
What was your question? Go ahead.
It was really a crazy moment for me. But and then afterwards, there's at the Wild Card gym, there's a restaurant that he frequents, and one of our colleagues, Valerie, is really close with the Pacquiao team. So I was able to be in that restaurant with and it's all pictures of Manny Pacquiao. They are not apologetic about it. And it was funny. He ate the meal, and while he was eating, they played his documentary, and he was just watching it, eating it, and everyone, no one was talking, just watching, just quietly eating and watching. And I was just this is a crazy moment for me. And, as I left early, and as I was leaving, he gave me the head nod, and I was like, oh, my life is justified. And so that was an absolute, that's my favorite moment. I wish I had a GoPro in my head to record the whole thing, but all I can say is I was able to do it, and I was able to go to his mansion and cover interview his aunt after he won the Senate election. And so that was also awesome, being at the Pacquiao mansion in LA. So big Pacquiao fan. This is basketball Funko Pop. This is worth $150 now, but I wave it around unboxed.
Well then, okay, EJ, how do you top that?
I can't.
Just watching from your house. That's all you could do.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. That's exactly. In 2008, I still remember, man, because my bedtime is so early. I rarely sleep past 10 o'clock. So anytime, I remember vaguely 2008 when he fought Oscar De La Hoya. My grandparents came over, and we watched as a family, and it was just an awesome experience. And that's the stuff I'll miss. That Manny Pacquiao fights, bringing the family together, us getting wild and being sleepy the next day. Exactly. I remember it all the time.
Well, your story's almost as good as Ken. Almost, but not quite.
Nah, not even close.
Well, thank you everyone for joining me this week on the panel. Of course, we want to thank you, the fans, for joining us, and be sure to tune in again next week. Ken, you have me crying from your story, by the way. Make sure to visit our website at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at EagleNewsPH to join the conversation. For ABC Sports International, I'm Zarita Sese. We live in interesting times.